Welcome to the sixth episode of Test of Times. And today, it's a very special episode with a very special guest. Today, we discuss about one of the most successful teams in Ranji Trophy history, that is the Mumbai Cricket Association, the Mumbai Cricket Team, and how it has gone on to win 41 Ranji trophies. And with me today is none other than Devendra Prabhudesai. Mr. Prabhudesai is an author, was former media manager at BCCI, and is the corporate head at IISM. He's one of those people, if you talk to, you can enrich your knowledge about cricket. It's a pleasure for me to have such a personality on my show. Welcome, sir, on Test of Times, and I hope everything is fine at your place.
Yes, Yashaswee, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you, sir. Sir, so let us start, with talking about Mumbai cricket. Mumbai cricket is thought to be one of the best cricket teams in India. 41 Ranji trophies. It's not jokes, sir. It is not a joke. So why do you think that why do you think Mumbai Ranji team has always been this successful? Is it because of the exposure the cricketers get, or is it the infrastructure?
I think you have to go back all the way to more than a century ago, because Indian cricket, for all practical purposes, began in Mumbai.
Yes, sir.
Mumbai was the gateway to the British Empire, and there was a substantial British presence in Mumbai, given that Mumbai was the premier port of British India, as it was called then. And which is why when the British started utilizing the open spaces, the playgrounds for cricketing purposes, they were spotted by the locals, and the locals obviously started wanting to imitate the then rulers, the then masters.
Yes,
And
sir.
so you had a situation where the Parsi community,
Hmm.
which is a very affluent community, a very industrious community
Hmm.
in Mumbai, they formed a cricket team. They were the first Indian community to form a cricket team.
Okay.
They were followed by the Hindus and the Muslims.
Yes.
And you had this quadrangular cricket tournament
Hmm.
happening annually in Mumbai, where
Correct.
you had the Europeans, which was the British,
Hmm.
you had the Parsis, the Hindus, and the Muslims.
Yes.
And in those days, cricket was played along communal lines. But the interesting thing about the quadrangular was that it united the spectators, brought them closer,
Yes, sir.
in contrary to the communal nature of the tournament. And then in 1937, so every year you had this tournament being played,
Hmm.
and it only got bigger. And then you had a situation where cricketers from all over the country
Hmm.
started traveling to Mumbai to participate in this
Correct.
tournament. In
Hmm.
1937, the quadrangular became a pentangular with the addition
Correct.
of the rest. So
Hmm.
the Sikhs, the Anglo-Indians, the Jews,
Yes,
who
sir.
had not been represented in the other four teams, they
Hmm.
created a team called the rest.
Hmm.
So given the fact that such a competitive tournament was being played in Mumbai, it had been played since the 1890s, in fact.
Hmm.
There was the basic infrastructure was always there. There were turf wickets in many parts of the country, especially in the south. Many of our greatest cricketers learned all their early cricket on matting tracks.
Correct.
But
Yes, sir.
Mumbai always had turf wickets from the very beginning.
Hmm.
And because given the quality of cricket played in the quadrangular and pentangular, that obviously produced better cricketers, more competitive cricketers.
Hmm.
And invariably what happens is there is one generation of cricketers that inspires the next
Correct.
generation.
Yes.
And Mumbai has always had that relay happening
Correct.
since
Yes.
the 1900s, 1910s, 1920s. So invariably, one generation throws up a few cricketers that end up inspiring
Hmm.
the youngsters. So all these factors put together, the infrastructure was there, which is why Mumbai always had a kind of a head start. But then, you can always have a head start good enough to begin with, but you have to back it up with consistent performances. And Mumbai always had outstanding cricketers who were as good technically as they were mentally, temperamentally, and that is what has contributed to the supremacy of Mumbai in Indian cricket.
Yes, sir. So you talked about the quantangulars and the pentangulars. Could you just tell us some, anecdotes of how, it inspired, inspired a lot of people, because as you said, the generations after generation, the children, the cricketers have been inspired. If you could tell us certain anecdotes from there, it would be really, it would be really interesting.
Yeah, so one of the last big pentangular matches was a match between the Hindus and the Muslims. It was the final of the 1945
Yes, sir.
pentangular, if memory serves me right, which the Muslims won by one wicket. It was a thrilling chase, and Sayyid Mushtaq Ali, the great
Yes.
Sayyid Mushtaq Ali, was the
Hmm.
captain of the Muslims team, and Vijay Merchant was leading the Hindus. And
Correct.
Vijay
Yes.
Merchant and Mushtaq Ali obviously had been this great opening pair for India.
Yes.
And on this day, they were on opposing sides. So when the match ended, Vijay Merchant walked into the Muslim dressing room and he told Mushtaq Ali that please come out and acknowledge the cheers of the crowd. So it was, those matches were played in a great spirit. And not the pentangulars, but there is this very interesting anecdote related to 1926 when a team from the MCC came to India.
Yes.
The team from the MCC, captained by Arthur Gilligan, the former
Yes, sir.
England captain. And their primary objective was to play matches against the British who were stationed in India.
Okay.
But they played a 2-day game against the Hindus at the Bombay Gymkhana ground.
Okay.
And a certain C.K. Naidu scored a rapid-fire 100 in that innings.
Correct. Yes.
And it is believed that it was that innings of C.K. Naidu's that convinced the watchers that India was now ready to move to the next level, because India had cricketers of the quality and caliber of C.K. Naidu.
C.K. Naidu.
And
Yes.
that is what led to the formation of the BCCI in 1928. And one of the spectators who watched C.K. Naidu's innings was this 15-year-old boy whose name was Vijay Merchant.
Wow.
And Vijay Merchant was inspired to become a cricketer. So, and then it just carried on. So Mumbai cricketers have always had, with Vijay Merchant, you can say that he was the first superstar of Mumbai cricket. And ever since then, Mumbai cricketers have always played an influential role in Indian cricket.
So as you talked about the relation between how C.K. Naidu inspired a young Vijay Merchant, and definitely that happens even today. So let us carry on with this. So let us talk a little about the greats the Mumbai cricket has given. Be it Vijay Merchant, be it Dilip Sardesai, be it Paul Umrigar, be it even Sunil Gavaskar, Rohit Sharma, and Sachin Tendulkar, which which I as a 23-year-old have seen. Seen a little bit of Sachin, Rohit Sharma, and now seeing a lot of Prithvi Shaw and the other Mumbai cricketers. What, and they talk about this word kharoos. Why is that word associated with the Mumbai cricket players, and why only very good batsmen have why only the very good batsmen have been produced by Mumbai cricket?
As far as the batting thing is concerned, I would not entirely agree that Mumbai has only produced great batsmen. Mumbai has also produced
Yes.
great bowlers as well. But yes, the batsmen have had, but there have been more batsmen. Again, it has something to do with one generation inspiring the next generation. So we have had great bowlers from Mumbai like Subhash Gupte,
Yes,
who according
correct.
to Sir Gary Sobers was a better leg spinner than Shane Warne.
Yes.
Now, when Gary Sobers says something like this, you have to take it seriously. Zahir Khan, of course, played all
Yes.
his early cricket in Mumbai,
Mumbai.
took over 300 test wickets. We had Ramakant Desai,
Desai.
Prince
Yes, sir.
Dynamo. So Mumbai has also produced great bowlers. Padmakar Shivalkar, the left arm spinner,
Yes.
who would have played for India had it not been for the fact that he had Bishan Singh Bedi as a
Correct, sir.
contemporary. But yeah, I agree that Mumbai has produced a lot more great batsmen. Again, that has a lot to do with the Vijay Merchant inspiring Paul Umrigar, Paul Umrigar inspiring say Ajit Wadekar,
Yes.
Ajit Wadekar inspiring Gavaskar, and so on. And when you talk about this Khadoos thing, Mumbai, we Mumbaikars have to adjust all the time. Life
Correct.
is very
Yes.
tough. People travel long distances to go to work. They wake up at unearthly hours, board trains. So life is tough in this city. You have to adapt. You have to adjust. But at no point does the average Mumbaikar give up. And I think that quality has sort of spilled over into the cricket field. Now, this word Khadoos is very interesting. There is no specific English equivalent of this word.
Correct, sir.
Khadoos, you can say it's a combination of determination, resilience, and even stubbornness.
Correct. Yes.
It's what the average Mumbaikar is, what the quintessential Mumbaikar is. The quintessential Mumbai cricketer is the same. I mean, you find ways. If the going is tough, you find a way to get yourself out of it and turn the tables on the opposition. And that is what has distinguished the Mumbai cricketer from his contemporaries in other states and cities for decades altogether. There are so many instances of Mumbai cricketers fighting when their backs were to the wall and
Correct. Yes.
conjuring victories out of hopeless positions.
Hmm. You made a very good point. Cricketers are known to have this belief in themselves. When your backs up to the wall, you want to come back. You want to show that yes, I'm very good. Cricketers genuinely have this behavior in them. So carrying on to my next question, a lot of cricketers have come. 41 Ranji Trophy. This is no joke. 41 Ranji trophies out of how many been played, being way ahead of the second most being Karnataka at 8 or 9 if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
Eight, yeah,
8, yes.
yeah.
8 and 41, difference of 33 shows you utter dominance. I want to ask you, this question will actually have 2 to 3 parts. Who, according to you, or maybe which circle of players, or how many players, according to you, can be termed as Mumbai greats who played for India? And the other part of the question is, were there certain players that who could have got into the Indian side, like Amul Majumdar being one of the examples, but couldn't? It breaks your heart, when you see such a talent not making it to the cut. And the last part of the question would be, who do you think will carry the torch of the Mumbai cricket ahead?
Yeah, so it is very difficult to pinpoint greats of Mumbai cricket because there are so many of them. So starting with Vijay Merchant, Polly Umbriger, then there is Ajit Wadekar, who under whose captaincy Indian cricket came of age. The great Vinu
Yes.
Mankad in between, before Ajit Wadekar, Vijay Manjrekar, who was considered to be the finest technician
Yes,
between
sir.
Vijay Merchant and Sunil Gavaskar. Then, of course, the great Mr. Gavaskar, first batsman to score 10,000 runs. Dilip Vengsarkar, the Lord of Lords, played over 100 tests.
Yes, sir.
Then, of course, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, Zahir Khan. So it's very, very difficult to pinpoint, to identify greats. There are so many of them. Uh, when it comes to Mumbai cricketers who deserved a lot more than what they got, I've already mentioned Padmakar Shivalkar, but yes, and you mentioned Amol Muzumdar,
Yes, sir.
two cricketers who should have made it to the highest level but could not for different reasons. Amol Muzumdar, an exceptional cricketer, exceptional batsman, and it's very sad that he did not get what he deserved. Same with Padmakar Shivalkar. And when it comes to carrying the torch for of Mumbai cricket, I think the torch is currently in the hands of Ajinkya and Rohit Sharma, and
Correct.
then
Yes,
there is
sir.
Prithvi Shaw. There is Shardul Thakur, who did
Yes.
so well in that historic series win in Australia,
Correct, sir.
and Surya Kumar Yadav. So
Correct. Yes.
there's a lot of talent around, and Mumbai cricket still is in the pink of health, and it will go on. I mean, I don't see things getting bad. In fact, they're only going to get better. And I have got some statistics that I would like to run you through.
Yes, sir.
So
Surely.
this is not counting the WTC final,
Yes,
but
sir.
till before the WTC
Hmm.
final, when it comes to Test cricket, Mumbai cricketers have contributed 81,091 runs for
Wow.
India. They have taken 1,466
Hmm.
wickets.
Wow.
They have scored 195 centuries in Test
Hmm.
cricket,
Correct. Yes.
1,070 catches,
Hmm.
and 42 stumpings. And this is only for Test cricket.
Test cricket. Yes.
One day and T20, I'm not even looking at. So these are like outstanding, awesome figures. But that just sums up Mumbai's contribution to Indian cricket.
So you made a fantastic, this statistics makes our show different, because this is what we crave for, this is what our audience who we show this episode craves for. Brilliant statistics, sir. Thank you very much for the statistics. So now, really want to listen to certain stories. There was one famous final in 91 against Haryana, which 91 if I'm not wrong, that famous Ranji Trophy final. If you could tell certain stories on those grounds, it would be really nice for us to understand the history of Mumbai cricket.
Yeah, so it's so ironic that Mumbai has won the Ranji Trophy 41 times, made it to the final 46 times.
Hmm.
But the one final that people ironically remember the most is one that Mumbai lost.
Yes,
But I think
correct.
that is what happens in the case of a champion team.
Hmm.
So this was in May 1991. The knockout stage of the Ranji Trophy had been pushed ahead that season because of some court litigation. So you had the Mumbai taking on Haryana at the Wankhede Stadium in in May, and it was terrible. It was like a
Wow.
pressure cooker
Hmm.
in the month of May. And Haryana, on paper, I mean, there was nothing. It was a hopeless mismatch because Mumbai in its playing 11 had as many as 7 Test cricketers
Wow.
and 2 future Test cricketers.
Okay.
And Haryana had Kapil Dev as captain. There was Chetan Sharma. There was somebody called Ajay Jadeja who was, on the fringes of selection in the national side. But apart from these three, there was no real big name.
Hmm.
But not for the first time in his career, Kapil Dev showed that he had it in him to motivate a group of underdogs.
Yes.
And Haryana ended up taking the first innings lead.
Hmm.
And Mumbai's only hope of winning the match
Was
was
chasing
to bowl out Haryana cheaply in the second innings and then go for the target on the last day.
Yes, sir.
And they managed to bowl Haryana out. And the situation was that Mumbai needed 355 to win
Hmm.
in a little over 2 sessions.
Yeah.
But at lunchtime, the score was 34 for 3. Lalchand Rajput, Shishir Hattangdi, and the captain Sanjay Manjrekar all back in the pavilion.
Okay.
And at lunchtime, I remember that match was shown live on Doordarshan's Metro channel.
Hmm.
So I watched every ball of that game. Unfortunately, I was not at the Wankhede, but I watched it on the television. And Madhav Mantri, the former president of the Mumbai Cricket Association, was interviewed during the lunch break. And he was asked by the commentator, so what will Mumbai do? Will Mumbai put down the shutters? Because, 34 for 3, only 2 sessions and, just needing 320 more. What will happen? And Madhav Mantri said, this is the Mumbai team. We don't give up. Sachin is there.
Correct.
Dilip is there.
Hmm.
So wait and watch. And after lunch, Sachin Tendulkar and Dilip Vengsarkar launched this incredible counter attack.
Hmm.
And even on television, you could literally see the stands which had been vacated at lunchtime suddenly filling up because
Correct.
the word spread that Sachin was on fire.
Hmm.
In Mumbai has its own cricketing terminology.
Yes.
The word spread around, Are Sachin lagla ahe. Sachin lagla ahe.
Yes.
Lagla ahe means he's on fire.
Yes.
And the people just got back into the ground, and it turned out to be a thriller of a chase. Sachin scored 96 in 75 balls, which in the pre-T20 era for the last day of a 5-day game was outstanding. And he got out against the run of play. He hit a full toss straight to Ajay Jadeja at cover and got out. Vengsarkar carried on, and there's a hilarious story that Mr. Vengsarkar told me at this. The Mumbai Cricket Association had a function in November 2017 to celebrate Mumbai's 500th Ranji Trophy match.
Yes.
And I was the master of ceremonies, and I was interacting with several Mumbai captains on stage. And I asked Mr. Vengsarkar about that final. And he said that at the lunch break, he bumped into Kapil Dev in the toilet behind the dressing room. And Kapil Dev apparently said to him, "Are yaar, humko ek baar to jeetne do, ek baar to jeetne do." And Vengsarkar said, "Are we are 34 for 3, you are winning." And Kapil said, "नहीं, जब तक तू है कुछ बोल नहीं सकते, कुछ बोल नहीं सकते." And that is what happened. Mumbai were just 3 runs away from victory. Abhi Kuruvilla, who was making his first-class debut in that game, I remember all of us praying, and Abhi Kuruvilla keeping out Kapil Dev, defending Kapil Dev's deliveries, and then the Vengsarkar taking the strike back. And ultimately, it ended in heartbreak for all the Mumbai cricket lovers because there was a mix-up between Lalchand Rajput, who was Dilip Vengsarkar's runner, and Abhi Kuruvilla, and Mumbai were all out for 352, I think.
Yes.
Losing the match, 353, losing by 2 runs. So that it was a heartbreaking result. But what a game! I mean, and only Mumbai could have produced something in such a situation and taken their side so close to victory. Another great final, which constitutes a happy memory for Mumbai cricket lovers, was played exactly 20 years prior to that in 1970-71.
Yes,
So you had a situation where 5 senior Mumbai players, Ajit Wadekar, Dilip Sardesai, Ashok Mankad, Eknath Solkar, and Sunil Gavaskar, they were all in the West Indies as part of the Indian team that created history, winning the series in the West Indies. And in Mumbai, at the knockout stage of the Ranji Trophy, the 24-year-old Sudhir Naik was given the captaincy. And Mumbai won the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then they were to play a full-strength Maharashtra team in the final, the Summit Clash. And there was a tinge of irony to the entire thing because what had happened is, prior to that season, in September 1970, when the BCCI held its AGM, the Maharashtra Cricket Association had made this demand that the top two teams from every zone
Hmm.
should be allowed to qualify for the knockout stage. Till
Okay.
then, what had happened, the rule was that the top team, so you had in those days, the Ranji Trophy was played in a zonal format to
Correct.
begin
Yes.
with.
Hmm.
You had five teams in the West Zone at that point of time: Mumbai, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Saurashtra, and Baroda. So
Baroda.
they would play round robin league, and then the top team in terms of points would qualify for the knockout stage.
Correct.
And the same was the case with the other zones. And invariably, what used to happen in the 1960s was that Mumbai would, Maharashtra would be, say, 1 point or
Hmm.
2 points or 3 points behind Mumbai.
Hmm.
The difference wasn't that great in a few seasons. So Maharashtra was exasperated, that we are invariably missing out on qualifying for the knockout stage by a couple of points. So
Yes.
the Maharashtra Cricket Association made this special request to the BCCI that let the top two teams from each
Hmm.
of the zones qualify for the knockout stage. And that demand was accepted. So the 1970-71 season was the first where you had the top two teams from each zones. So that makes it 10 teams in all qualifying for the knockout stage. And ironically, what happened that season is that Maharashtra topped the West Zone
Wow.
League. So
Yes.
had the old rule been in place,
Hmm.
only Maharashtra would have qualified, Mumbai would not have qualified. But
Yes.
because the rule was changed, Maharashtra and Mumbai both qualified. And guess what?
Hmm.
Who met whom in the final? Maharashtra met Mumbai. Mumbai team and our team of youngsters against Maharashtra at full strength. Chandu Borde was the captain, Chetan Chauhan, Hemant Kanetkar, all
Yes.
Dada cricket.
Hmm.
And Mumbai won that game. The team of youngsters led by Sudhir Naik beat Maharashtra outright. So that again, just an indicator of Mumbai's supremacy in domestic cricket. And in fact, in the 1960s, I think if memory serves me right, Rajasthan qualified for the final 7 times.
Okay.
And they were beaten by Mumbai each of those 7 times.
Wow.
Imagine losing 7 times after making it to the final. And years later, when Raj Singh Dungarpur, a member of the Rajasthan team, became the president of the CCI in Mumbai, the Cricket Club of India,
Yes.
he had a replica of the Ranji Trophy created and kept in the lounge of the CCI. And his reasoning was that, look, I was never able to lay my hands on the actual Ranji Trophy. I might as well have a replica with me. So
Wow.
those it still hurt, losing 7 finals to Mumbai. And of course, that remains a world record.
Correct.
1958-59 to 1972-73, 15 Ranji Trophy wins in a row.
Yes.
It's an unparalleled achievement.
So one important question which I have in my mind is how important is the Harry Shield, the Kanga League, the Gyle Shield in improving or giving good cricketers to Mumbai cricket, because being from the east part of India, I have seen like not a lot of weightage is given to school cricket in, be it Bihar, Jharkhand or West Bengal. Not a lot of weightage is given as it is given to Mumbai, as it is given in Mumbai. So, do you think giving so much importance to school cricket has uh, helped to identify those players and make them superstars?
Obviously, there's no doubt about it. Again, it all boils down to the infrastructure in Mumbai, which was created almost more than 100 years ago. In fact,
Correct. Yes, sir.
schools cricket is critical. Schools cricket is very important. The Mumbai media plays a big role,
Correct. Yes.
giving covering schools, inter-school cricket, intercollegiate cricket. There are these unsung heroes, the ground staff, the umpires. There is this institution called the Mumbai Cricket Grapevine. So the
Yes.
moment a youngster is spotted, the word spreads.
Hmm.
There is this guy, watch out for him. So, and there are many youngsters who are fast tracked to the higher levels because they get noticed. So a classic example, of course, I mean, they need no introduction. Sachin and
Sachin.
Vinod, both of them, they had that partnership in an inter-school match. So
Match. Yes.
inter-school cricket is critical, very well developed, very competitive. And the Kanga League, of course, the only tournament of its kind played in the monsoon.
Correct. Yes.
It is believed that one of the reasons Mumbai batsmen have always had a good technique against pace bowling is because they play in the Kanga League and in their formative years when the ball does all kinds of things. The wickets are uncovered. It's raining. There is a lot of slush around, and it is often said that on an uneven Kanga League pitch, if you manage to score 25 runs, it is as good as a double century
Correct.
in
Yes.
normal conditions. the Kanga League, and I think that basic competitive spirit, inter-club cricket, inter-corporate cricket, it is so well developed. There are so many tournaments
Mm.
for the youngsters to play in. Because, net practice is important, no doubt about it. But
Correct.
Mumbai's coaches, the great coaches of Mumbai, have over the decades always emphasized the importance of match practice. It is important to be in that environment of a match. It is important to be able to think on your feet.
Yes.
Ramakant Acharikar sir was a classic example. He would
Mm.
always emphasize match practice.
Correct.
And
Yes.
we all know about the stories where he used to make Sachin play virtually every day, carry him on his scooter from one part of the
That's
city
true.
to another.
Yes. Mm.
Match practice is something that is given a lot of importance in Mumbai. And then, of course, all these tournaments at different age levels. So
Mm.
by the time a cricketer breaks into the Ranji Trophy team, he has kind of seen it all. He has been exposed to different
True.
conditions. He's like the finished product.
So my final question to you is like the last question before we end this show. It was a pleasure talking to you. Last question. You told a very interesting point when you were a young kid and you were watching that 1991 final against Haryana. You said that on television I was praying. And nowadays we see as kids, if we talk to a 15, 16-year-old child, they don't like to watch Ranji Trophy. In their term, they say there's no swag in it. Do you think for cricket to sustain or cricket to do very well in India, the IPL is there, accepted. IPL is doing fantastic, and with the times, we have to go with IPL. But do you think even understanding Ranji Trophy or making making Ranji Trophy more likable is very important?
That's a catch-22 situation. I belong to a generation which was lucky in the sense that the top cricketers of the time
Hmm.
had the time to play at least the knockout Ranji Trophy matches.
True.
So invariably, when it came to the quarter-final or semi-final or final of the Ranji Trophy, teams like Mumbai, Karnataka, Delhi,
Hmm.
their players would be there. The India players would all be there. So the teams would be at full strength,
Hmm.
at least for the knockout stage.
True.
And sometimes even for the first few games at the start of the season in
Hmm.
October, November.
Hmm.
So I remember a time when Sachin was leading Mumbai and Anil Kumble was leading Karnataka.
Karnataka.
You
Hmm.
know, so and that obviously makes these games more watchable from the point of view of the general public. So it's a catch-22 situation because in those days we used to have an off season. Like when I was in college, we knew that from May to September there's going to be no cricket apart from the Kanga League. But international cricket, unless you were touring England or a short tour of Sri Lanka
Hmm.
or you were in the West Indies, there was nothing happening for 5 months. It seems unbelievable in today's
True.
terms.
True.
So that and invariably an international assignment, a series would invariably end by February, March. So for the final stages of the domestic competitions in March, April, like the Ranji Trophy, you would have these guys at full strength. Now the volume of international cricket has increased so
Hmm.
much
Hmm.
that it is probably not humanly possible for the current lot to make themselves available for domestic cricket.
True.
But I think this is something that the BCCI needs to look at least in India. Find a kind of identify some kind of a window where the Ranji Trophy final and semi-finals at least, if not more games, are organized, are planned at a time when there are no international series or tournaments happening. And imagine if Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane are playing for Mumbai,
Correct.
and Virat Kohli is representing Delhi, and there's a
Yes.
Mumbai-Delhi final. People will come to the stadiums. They will
Yes.
definitely
True.
watch on television. They will flock to the grounds. So this is a catch-22 situation, but I'm sure the BCCI will find a solution for it.
Now, I still remember when I covered my first ever Ranji Trophy game, a person came to my room and said, "Bhai Ranji Trophy kaun cover karta hai?" This was his dialogue. Sir, thank you very much for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you on the show. There were some fantastic stories which you told to us, and it actually enriched my knowledge. And it was a fantastic chatting with you. Sir, any final comments from your side?
Final comments is that when Mumbai does well, India does well, and
True.
we just hope it's good that the rest of the country has caught up, and cricket in India today, especially in the 21st century, has become a national sport because you have cricketers coming up from all over the country. That's testimony to the hard work put in by the BCCI at the grassroots level. There are people who have been talking about the demise and decline of Mumbai cricket, but I think it would be extremely unwise to write a team like Mumbai off. I mean, look at
No.
the representation of the Mumbai team in both the Indian teams, one that is in England and the other that is in
Other.
Sri Lanka.
Yes, sir.
You've got your answer.
Hmm.
So it's great for domestic cricket that Mumbai continues to do well. It will keep the other teams on its toes, and Indian cricket will only benefit in the long run.
Yes. A lot have been spoke about this. It was a pleasure having Devendra sir on our show. Thank you for watching. I hope you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And please stay safe and stay happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yashasvi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.